And we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Frisco, Texas 2024 SRC Conference. April Hall, crushing it. Just got to experience a new product that April and David, is his name?
David, yeah.
David,
yep.
Yep, David.
The one and only.
Carl, yep, the one and only. Launched their new fire retardant application product. So,
Yes.
Yeah, so that was good. Episode 211 of Behind the ToolBelt. I'd like to introduce Dora the Explorer.
Absolutely.
With her trusty sidekick, fire starter.
Fred Bob.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm Ty, and sometimes you're host of Behind the ToolBelt. So how the hell's it going, everybody?
I feel like I'm burdened. Like
burdened?
there's this weight on my shoulders that I can't get off.
So we were preparing for exit in case things went south.
We are south.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of sort of in the south. Well, so how this all came about is that safety first, and I feel safe and secure when I have my backpack on. So I've strapped myself in, okay, safe and secure. I got my fire starter, I got my knife, I got 3 forms of hand sanitizer, I got my MacBook, spare cell phone, my iPad, pair of glasses, sunglasses, my mouse for my MacBook, every single power cord imaginable to man, and then some other things that I won't share with you guys because they're kind of personal that I only use at night in the bathroom, that are in my backpack that I take with me everywhere I go. So I feel safe and secure with my backpack on. So I didn't feel outcasted. My friends decided to join me to wear backpacks.
Mike doesn't have anything in his backpack.
Because you just opened it up and dumped everything out, so I've got nothing left. No, I do. So I wear this on the airplane because I am on the influencer side, so I'm way in the back of the plane, so away from all the different exits and entrances. So I actually have a parachute back here in case that a door falls off or otherwise, the airplane falls out of the sky.
Now, is it one of those parachutes? Remember those little army guys?
Yes.
Is it like one of those parachutes?
Yeah, made out of plastic and
rubber,
yarn. Yeah.
Rubber band.
Yeah, I made it myself, and
okay, that should be safe.
It should be. Yeah,
We can test it later.
Yeah, we should. Just jump off the. I mean, did you see? I mean, that foyer in the hotel here,
Amazing.
and there's 40-inch railings. You could just jump off. What is it? 14 floors here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 14.
And I'll just gently glide down to the.
We should get something.
First floor.
We should see if we could find those little army guys and throw them.
We should.
Off
We
the
really
14th
should.
Floor.
Yeah.
Something. We got to get something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm game. Let's do it.
Okay.
I mean, I've done
Right.
dumber.
Well,
so-
Walmart's not that far from here. They have to have something that floats that
To
we
be
can
sure.
throw in the air and
just
it.
float down.
Yeah.
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 And maybe even a boomerang, see if it comes back to the 14th floor.
that might be a little dangerous.
It'll be fine. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I think that's a little over.
Well, they also have that little fountain down there too. So we should light it on fire and then watch it extinguish when it hits. There's no way we'd get in trouble for this.
Never.
No. And those of you that know me know that I like fire. So that is a brilliant idea.
No.
I do. I love fire. I like set shit on fire. Now, if anything catches fire, it wasn't me, but I do like to set shit on fire. I'm just saying.
Nobody believes you at this point.
No.
No. I love fire. It wasn't me. So if you smell smoke, it wasn't me.
That's right. It wasn't me.
Nobody
I wouldn't
believes
do
you.
that. I don't even own a lighter anymore. I've been smoke free for 6 months.
Nice.
Yeah, cigarettes. That is. So, anyhow, it's always a pleasure to have you guys on. All seriousness, out of all seriousness, all kidding aside. I love your backpack, by the way.
Thank you.
So Roofle, let's talk a little bit about Roofle and how far it's came. Shit, in just probably the matter of months, really.
Really,
From
no
the
matter
last
what.
time we talked. Yeah.
In 2023 alone, there were 11 releases. So you think about that, once a month, we had another release. I remember when Travis and I came to the office, which was a fantastic experience. We got to be on your show live.
Yeah.
And we
in
kind of
studio.
gave the little hint that there was something coming out. It was a big news. and that was the Eagle View and quick measure integrations, which was huge to be able to take it from the quick estimate measurements to final, detail measurements. That seems like so long ago.
It
Think about
does.
all
Yeah.
the things that have come since then. Like that was just a drop in the bucket from where we are today. So
Awesome.
it's been a lot of fun.
Okay. So explain a little more about the Eagle View integration or partnership with Roofle. Why is that so special?
I'm shooting this one over to you. This is in your wheelhouse. Why is detail measurement such a big deal to an instant estimate?
E-commerce, you're going to need them eventually.
So we're the instant
Great
estimators.
response. You're fired after this show, by the way.
I've been fired,
No, you're just kind of hanging around now.
pretty much.
So what we do at the core of our technology is to be able to give the contractor the number of squares, the pitch, and now the complexity, so that with those three pieces of information in basically as fast as the page loads, what can you do with that? Can you put a price to that with your, everything from your products, your warranties, your value proposition, all of your branding going and putting in one package for your consumer so that they can see all of who you are and what is in it for them in that experience. And so that is all done instantly. However, once you get that instantly, there are some details that you still need before it becomes an order and you actually send a crew out to do the job. So that's where we leave it in the hands of the professionals that have been doing this for a long time. Now, again, they take it, anywhere from 30 minutes to, 3-4 hours, but then the contractor is fully equipped to do the final details of that project and make it,
Of course.
actually get it done. So that's why it was so important for us to align ourselves with these detail measurement companies
Yes.
like GF Quick Measure and Eagle View, so that now the contractor can get all these leads. And then once the homeowner is requesting a final proposal, they can push a button, get their final measurements, and then get a final proposal off to the homeowner in a minute of, half hour to an hour.
Okay. So let me see if I'm following you. So with the instant quote, you will be able to get like a detailed estimate opposed to just like a lump sum like it was. Because I know a while ago we had a QR code on a billboard.
Yep.
So that's what I'm thinking selfishly here. So maybe we need to update like our QR code. And I know quite a few came through, even our competition. We could tell our competition was like, really 30-second quote. But our worthy rivals. So explain that to me again with the Eagle View thing and the GAF.
Yeah. So the old way to do this, right, is a homeowner would call.
We go out.
Yep.
Do our
TC
thing.
Backer, and we want, hey, give me a quote, give me an estimate. And then so you would either at some point, probably very early on, you would order a detailed measurement so that you were prepared when you go out to the home to know, what the measurements are and what you would need to properly propose this. The problem is that's very, very, very slow process. And you've got homeowners now, and 35% of homeowners are now millennials. They want stuff now. They have been conditioned to do all of their, fact finding online. They want to know everything that it is about you and about the project and the potential project that they want to do. So what we've done is sped that up to a matter of seconds rather than minutes or even hours. So the process though is primarily a lead generation. That is a lead for you. And now there's a next step is, now that you have the lead, are you going to go sell the lead? And the homeowner's like, okay, now I've got the price. I see the process. I see your warranties, your products. Yes, give me the final estimate. That's where you would need a detailed measurement, like an Eagle View or a Quick Measure.
Okay, so the detailed measurement doesn't come from the Quick Quote Pro.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Do you notice how I said that right? I practiced saying that right. Quick Quote Pro, or did I fuck it up?
Yeah, you still mess it up. It's Roof Quote Pro. But that's right.
It's a lot of effort.
When I was Travis inspired me. There he is in the distance over there. So he inspired me, and he says it so quickly. It's like,
He does.
what did you just say? Anyhow, I have practiced that. So anyhow, okay. So all right. So to make it even easier for training purposes, again, I'm thinking, how we can implement something like this in our organization. So as a training tool, right, to speed up the process of training a new salesperson that comes in here, now explain that part to how it integrated with Eagle View and the importance of that, D.
Back to you, Mike.
Oh my gosh. So the entire industry is evolving, right?
Yes.
And so we're having to deal with, you know, and this is the hardest part. And when I'm talking to contractors, is always the hardest part is taking them as owners who have created their companies from the ground up, and
Mhm.
now they're watching their consumers ask for a different experience when it comes to
Yeah.
doing their roofing projects. So that's where we're equipping the contractors with the tools to be able to grab these
Yeah.
online consumers.
Yeah.
So yes, the sales process is changing a little bit, but
Mhm.
not it doesn't have to be like 180 degrees. You
Right.
can do whatever you want, but what we're trying to do is say we want to equip the local contractor with the technology to be able to reach the online consumer.
Right.
Own that virtual space.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to throw in before it's taken from you, because it's, again, we're not the ones bringing e-commerce. The consumer is asking and demanding
Yeah.
e-commerce.
Right.
We want the local contractor to win that space
Yeah.
and keep it. So
No, and that's a great point too, because it has become an online world today. The landscape has changed on both sides of it. So think about this. So was that us or was that somebody else? Sorry. Holy shit. Vic, get a grip over there. Anyhow,
can you do that more? I like that. That's a great sound.
that got everybody's attention. So landscape has changed on both sides of that. So yes, the consumer has changed, but what I was thinking of was so is the workforce. The workforce has also changed.
Yep.
So as far as like a training or a new tool that you're going to implement in your company, because now if I look at the generation that mostly predominantly works for our company, it ranges from 23 to 35.
Yeah.
Now, so but there's 3 or 4 different generations, but predominantly it's that age difference. So would I have better luck training a 23-year-old on how to go out, get on a roof, break out the tape measure, do those certain things? Like I see you trying to envision that right now.
Yeah.
Or would it be a lot easier for me to say, hey, sit here, grab your phone,
Yep,
real quick? So explain the importance of that. Like also.
Yeah. So when a roofing contractor is turning over a lead to one of their salespeople,
Mhm.
think about the information that they had before to say, hey, we've got Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They just called in. They want to they wanted to schedule an inspection and an estimate.
Mm-hmm.
What does your salesperson know? Pretty much their name, address, and maybe they Googled it and looked at the house beforehand, but
Right.
they have nothing.
Yes.
Compare that to a lead that's generated online through Roof Quote Pro,
Mhm.
where you have the homeowner's name, address, phone number, all that information, but you already have the number of squares, you already have the pitch, you have the complexity, you already know, the value of what this is. But then you have the next step that the homeowner's also seen, all of your, because it's all done online,
Mhm.
and all of your marketing, your branding, they've already seen all of this. They've experienced your company in such a robust way,
Mhm.
and they've seen the price. So this is such a high qualified lead. They've probably even seen financing options.
Yeah.
Now, what does the salesperson have to be successful when they go make that call?
Absolutely.
Pretty much everything. Like, what else do they need except a signature?
Yeah.
And so that's where, again, consumers who are making decisions on high ticket items.
Yeah.
You're talking $20,000-$30,000 purchase here, but they've already been, price condition. They've already seen so much of the company.
Mm-hmm.
How easy is that becoming for that salesperson to make that sale?
Right.
Compared to the old way where you're showing up at the house, homeowner has no idea what this is going to cost. They might be a tire kicker,
Mm-hmm.
but it just you just took 3 hours of time.
That's what I was
to find out if it was a tire
and see,
kicker. or not.
and what's cool about this, it's becoming a paperless process.
Yeah.
Less time consuming, paperless process for that generation of salesperson as well. Because I was just sitting here thinking, and this is what I was kind of alluding to, is it's like if I had a 23-year-old something come in here and I was like, grab your notebook, grab your pen, and come with me, would they pick it up quicker that way, or would they pick it up quicker? Like, here's our Roof Quote Pro. Did I say that right?
Yep. Nice.
Here's our Roof Quote Pro
Look how
app.
fast you learned.
Yeah, I am. I'm a fart smeller. Smart feller. I mean, but I'm sitting here because I think we have to, and unfortunately, I think so many of us had a while ago given up on the millennial. Now that we know their strengths and their weaknesses and things like that, and that's why this is pivoting the way that it is, because like you said, our consumers today, those that are buying first homes, those that are buying cars, those that are remodeling their kitchens, their bathrooms, all of these things now, it's the largest generation that we have ever seen, mankind has ever known of. It like over just, it's huge. It's the population of millennials is large. So if you're not conforming to the e-commerce way of getting a quote for whatever it might be,
A truck,
yes,
a car.
right.
Like, how many times would you go online if you're like, okay, I need a used car, I need something for, myself or my kids. If I'm going online, number one, if they don't have their inventory or their pricing online, am I even going to look at them, at all? Or if it says call for price on the vehicle, what are the chances I'm going to pick up the phone and call for price? Now think about that in the exterior world. It's like most contractors don't even allow, a phone conversation to have this. They literally say, unless I sit down at your kitchen table, I'm not giving you a price.
Yeah.
You're welcome to think that way as a roofing contractor, and that's the way you do business. But the problem is that's not how the consumer wants to be a part of that they don't want that process anymore.
Right.
And that's where you have to make the hard decisions. Are you going to evolve with the industry or not?
Yeah, no, I love that. Dee, what do you think?
I mean, even pre-COVID, 63% of shopping started online. I mean, that's a big number. Doesn't
is.
mean they bought online, but it started there.
Yeah.
So I say give the people what they want.
Yeah, for sure. And why do you think that's important? The sustainability of a company, longevity of a company, if
absolutely.
they're not staying ahead of the curve with all of the new technologies that are coming into our space. And I had a conversation with a guy this morning about, the thinking of like, this is how we've always done it type of mentality. And that's where roofing was and still is in a lot of areas, and how far, and we talk about this all the time, how far, first and foremost, how far roofing has come, but how much further it needs to go to catch up to other industries. And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
It really is. And I talk about it. So I started roofing in 1992, and I went through college. That's how I worked my way through college. And then as I left, I remember giving my boss my kind of parting gift. Thank you. I'm going off, moving to Minnesota, getting married. So as kind of a parting gift, thank you for 4 years of sustaining me financially with a job and introducing me to a fantastic industry. I gave him a pneumatic nail gun. This was 1997.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell me, this is like, you think about it today,
Mm-hmm.
do contractors even, the installers even have hammers anymore? Everything is pneumatic nail gun. But let me ask you, how long do you think it took for my boss to actually start implementing the pneumatic nail gun into his business? I gave it to him in 1997.
Mm-hmm. I want to say it took years, only by the way that you're expressing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right. I'm kind of leading you.
Yeah.
It was 2001. So he took 4 years
Mm-hmm.
before he implemented
Wow.
something that is revolutionary, right? And when we talk about what is evolving, how the industry is evolving today, and in the roofing industry, and some of these technologies that are coming, I'm sorry, you don't have 4 years to implement this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
The changes are coming so fast and so quickly. You have to adapt to this stuff, or you think about it today. If you've got a crew that only hand nails shingles, that's fine. You can do it, but can you still make a living doing it that way? And is there a wide base of consumer that wants that feature? Probably not. I mean, you're very limited.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same way. It's how are you selling? How are you building your business? How fast can you come back and respond to leads? I mean, you think about that. There used to be a day where as long as you got back to them in 2, 3, 4 days, it's your lead still. Yeah. You wait 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes today, it might not be your lead anymore.
Yeah. So speaking of the changes and stuff, let's step outside of Roofle for a minute. What other changes do you see that have happened and are happening?
Private equity. I mean, it's like, it's almost become a cliche anymore, but private equity has, for a variety of different reasons, it's like it's the perfect storm. You see all of these different tidal waves coming in and crashing at the same time. You've got private equity roll-ups. You've got a ton of friction in the storm restoration. Everybody's trying to look for it. And I say everybody, like the contractors are looking for a solution to have there less friction, more efficiencies. Insurance carriers are trying to look for more efficiencies and less friction. Homeowners, you have to believe they are looking for something that has less friction and more efficiencies. I hear some of this. We're at a storm restoration conference, right? And so you hear so many success stories that took 6, 8, 10 months success. And you say, now go back to your homeowner. You think the homeowner really had a great experience with that. So there's so many, both with, again, when you have deep and unlimited pockets of cash that are coming and infusing into an industry that is lagging behind for many, many years, decades, and you're bringing all of that stuff together all at once, man, I mean, this industry is ripe for disruption and change.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%, whether it's acquisitions, mergers, private equity coming into our space, the technology movement that we're in. We're in a movement right now. And a lot of that's because of the outside influence, like how we used to do it is how we always do it. That mentality is leaving because of the outside influences that are, interested or noticing our industry right now. And that's the conversation I was having this morning with a gentleman. It's like, there's really smart people out there that are now noticing the roofing industry, that either is because it's a great industry, or they notice that it can be very lucrative in many facets, whether it's the technology that's coming into it, or roofing itself, or manufacturing, or integrations, and all of these things. There's so many different possibilities and endless avenues of ways that we could get creative. Like there's just, and this, as much as this might suck, and I'm probably was part of the problem because I've been in the industry for so long, it's that how small were we thinking, right? And how ignorant were we? But again, it was because I grew up in the era of like, this is just how we've always done it kind of thing.
Yeah. And what's really going to be interesting to see is that when you have these Harvard and Wall Street coming in and invading this space, and they got to be thinking, wow, look at the opportunity, look at the margins in this, and the cash that's available. But we have a very unique industry as well, because they could mess a lot of stuff up. Like they don't understand this industry.
Right.
And not the least of which is we're a bunch of nuts, right? We're just a bunch of crazy people.
Yep.
But there's such a complexity beyond the simplicity as well. So this is where it's going to be very interesting to see how this, the private equity, and there's so many of the roll-ups, and how many are going to be extremely successful and how many are just going to go into mass chaos. Because if they take control, if you have no idea what this industry is really like, the complexities of going from A to Z on a roofing project, I mean, there's already been some pretty significant failures because you don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. And it's so unknown yet. It's almost like the Wild Wild West to a certain extent, where, I mean, none of us know. I mean, I think we're smart enough to realize that there's first and foremost, there's going to be change. There's going to be some failure, but without that risk, right? That risk, there won't be any success either. You know what I mean? Like there has to be enough failure in order for us to know what we didn't know, in order for us to succeed. And those that may get on board with private equity, the technology, and like you were talking about, like the Harvard, but not just that. Let's talk about like the engineer and the coders. That are now getting involved with what we do today, and how much importance the role that they're playing in the technologies that are going to be launched and have launched already in our space.
For which is this?
Like we were talking about Harvard's here. Your technology, Roofle, that's technology. There's engineers and there's code writers in the background that we're not even talking about yet, that are in our space, that have been
right. So it's one of the things, and I don't know if you were going to go this way, but it's one of the things that I was most impressed with when I joined Roofle, is that you can have the most complex, cutting edge technology, but if it's not simple or simple to use or simple to understand or simple to implement, you're not going to get adoption in it. And you can walk around these rooms, and you probably have for many, many years, and you see these amazing technologies that come up, and they probably had great ideas, but it was hard to implement. And you look at some of the CRM systems that are very, very robust, but if they're not easy to implement, it's hard to see mass adoption. And so that's where, again, you can be the smartest people in the world, but if you don't understand the industry,
Mhm.
you're probably not going to be much of a disruption to the industry.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think HVAC experienced that? And what comes to mind is like service type? It's a HVAC CRM.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think they experienced that or no?
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody, anybody would, right? And I mean, you think about it. When did your company adopt? You know, Eagleview is a big part of this conference, right? The
Yes.
history and Dave Carlson and everybody in his history. But how long did
Absolutely.
it take for Eagleview to people dabbling in it, testing it out, trying it out, and actually to the point where now who doesn't know what Eagleview is and what roofing company hasn't used it? You know, and also you think about in the HVAC space, you know, part of the private equity impact in that industry is switching it over to these service contracts.
Yeah.
You know, and so is that going to happen in the roofing industry? Because right now, how many people have service contracts with their customers? Very, very few.
Yeah. Right.
You might see an entire industry shift to have more service industry. And again, it's so maybe and maybe not. You know, we don't know. We're trying to do the best we can with our crystal ball.
Yeah. No doubt.
You know, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And what's cool about it is that I feel like, you know, and I said earlier, like I was probably a part of the problem, but one of the reasons of this podcast is also to be a part of the solution.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to leave this space better than it was when we found it.
Yeah. And again, this is one of my appreciations of joining a company like Roofle is that we exist to help that local contractor see this, adapt to it, and be successful with it because, you know, everybody does. I mean, we talk about it all the time, the Amazon, like what has, you know, you think about how amazing Amazon is in how they basically changed the way that we all bought stuff. And everybody wants to become the Amazon of roofing. And you hear that all the time. Again, almost becoming cliche. Well, we want to help the local contractor become their own Amazon before the marketplace comes in and takes over. Because you think about it, if Amazon or whatever name it ends up being takes over the roofing industry, where the homeowner or the consumer that needs a roof just goes on to, you know, Amazon.com and orders a roof, what does that leave the rest of the industry?
Yeah.
They're just their service, you know,
they're
labor houses, right?
So how do you think, is off topic a little bit, but how do you think how do you see AI changing our industry?
So there's so many. Do you want to answer this? I mean,
you look so good sitting there. You're doing so well.
That was my point. Just to kind of sit here.
Yeah.
I think AI is going to make a huge change. For sure. I mean, there's so much you can do with it. I don't even have to write an email anymore.
Right. Yeah. So not just Chat GPT, right? It's not just emailing or chatting with homeowners, or, you know, I listened to one. It was an ad that came up on Facebook, and it started with like a guy's like, leave me alone. I'm not buying. I already made my decision. And then AI stepped in and started going back and forth and was talking to this guy. He had no idea he was talking to a computer, and AI actually shifted his mind, and he ended up buying at the end of the call. Now, I don't know how often that works, but we have a lot of different, everybody, I think, has a different picture of what AI is when you say artificial intelligence.
For sure.
And what's amazing is that the number of different, like I was talking with a guy who helped John Deere steer the tractors. And you think about it, that was AI. That's you know, they're programming the tractors to drive themselves down the road. Well, guess what? There's a lot of different efficiencies that can be found within the roofing industry.
Yeah.
AI with roofing and from the installation, not just sales and emails and communication, it's also implementation of a lot of different factors right down to the installation. So yeah, AI it's going to have its fingers in everything. We're going to be seeing Ultron start roofing houses now.
Pretty much. Yeah. I agree.
Well, it's funny you say that because I had a meeting with a guy, and I don't know how much I can divulge of this.
All of it.
But
you can talk.
Basically,
we won't tell anybody.
Shingles being installed by a machine.
I've seen that. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Now, a human would have to feed it But and on just a standard up and over pitch, standard pitch roof, but no, actually not standard, but more of a steeper pitch roof, where I could see it being implemented very well. But not just that way. I had an amazing conversation with I think you pronounce his name Demi with Roofing SEO School.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah,
I was just talking to him yesterday too.
yeah. So AI, he's out in front of the SEO thing, and just listening to him, that was a great podcast, by the way, very informative on how AI is helping websites, Google searches, writing blogs for you, SEO, like just how it would take hours for a human being to maybe bust out, I don't know, 10 blogs a week. Like this thing is like AI's hammering out hundreds in a week's time compared to, where the old traditional way. And again, it's like, if you're not getting out in front of this right away, know that your competitors are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're being found quicker on Google because AI must be at this point very Google friendly. It recognizes it in a way that it's allowing it to be used, I guess.
Yep.
So as of now, that area is definitely the wild, wild west, where it's kind of like the cheat code right now when it comes to SEOs, Google searches, pay-per-click, all that stuff like that. I found very interesting. So if you're doing this in-house, I guess if anyone's listening, if you're trying to, still manually operate your website and your marketing efforts and stuff like that, you may want to reach out to somebody that is more educated on AI to see how you can't help, your website and Google search and things like that. Definitely learn that this weekend. Although I think our team, I know, has been out in front of this for a minute. But again, that's one of those things, like, just because that's the way you guys used to do it in-house, it may be time to start seeking out some help when it comes to things like that. RoofQuote Pro, right? Amazing technology. I love you guys very much. We love it so much. We put a big ass QR code on our largest billboard that gets the most visibility, right? 30-second quote, TC Backer with an arrow next to a QR code. I find it very fascinating that you guys tag teamed with another technology company, actually two, Eagle View Technologies and then GAF Quick Measures, which are both very reputable companies and a very, very good, great partnership for all three parties involved, right? To have them actually, share your stage and vice versa. And it just goes to show how robust and sturdy RoofQuote Pro is and Roofle in itself. So again, all technology based things that we've talked about thus far. And it's like, I'm sitting here thinking real quick, like, there's not a day that doesn't go by that our company doesn't touch all four things: AI, Eagle View, RoofQuote Pro, GAF Quick Measures, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Like it's already, for the past 10 years, we've been using Eagle View, if not further back than that.
Yeah.
And then to watch that technology evolve and keep up with the times.
One of my favorite things about my job is our affiliates and our partnerships. And you think about it, and going back to my story about giving my boss a pneumatic nail gun, but guess what? He couldn't do anything with that nail gun. Like, here's an amazing, fantastic piece of technology that's going to evolve. It's going to disrupt the industry. Yet it didn't work by itself. It still needed to be plugged in. So when we talk with our partnerships, like Hook Agency, because if without traffic to your website, a widget on there to do instant estimate, it's going to sit there and look nice, right? And our friends at Lead Scout and how many partnerships and affiliates make us better has been so much fun because it's just great to do business with great people as well. And obviously that's a big part of it, but they have to be good at what they do as well. And so many of these affiliates and partners make us so much better and make the contractors better as a result. So you're kind of starting to plug all these pieces together to make, the next big deal. The next big disruption in the industry.
Absolutely. And it's cool that we get to do this together, when we really do. I mean, whether we're the R&D department over here where we're trying it for you guys or whatever the case might be, but it's cool to experience it. It's cool to witness it. And it's kind of cool to be a part of it.
Yep. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
It is. D, back to you, D.
You know what you forgot? Our new releases. I mean, how could you just skip over
right?
that?
I mean, we're still talking about stuff that we did 6 months ago. So what are some of the new stuff what's your favorite part of the new release, the Christmas release?
So I'm a big RevQuote fan. I will say that. I love the questions you can put in and how, somebody can talk to somebody at the door and you just enter your price in for layer and chimney flashing. And I think that's super awesome. I'm big on range too, especially something so it's a great release.
Yeah. No, that's good. It sounds like you guys got a lot of cool things that have happened over the past 6 months. Mike, would you like to elaborate a little more on that?
Yeah. So when a homeowner comes on a website looking for information, what you want to have is really dialing in on that experience. And part of that is not making them give you all the information. And so many times that people are trying to get a good online experience, and when I'm saying people, I'm saying like contractors or even tech companies, but they don't know the information. So they're like, okay, homeowner, what's your pitch? What's the style of roof? What's this? And they're asking, they're getting measured. Like they're asking the consumer so many questions to the point where the consumer's like, well, what am I even doing here? So our Christmas release has kind of tied a big bow over the entire experience.
Okay.
So now when a homeowner goes on to get an estimate, we have the number of squares of that roof. We already have the pitch. We already have the complexity. We have the ability for the contractor to set their pricing based on all of those features. Like we have literally dialed this in so tightly so that the estimate is very accurate and the information is accurate. So we're kind of bringing all of these parties together for the experience, for the consumer, and for success for the contractor. But one of the things that she was talking about was range pricing. Like we can dial it down to the dollar for that instant estimate. But if the contractor says, no, we kind of want to make sure that we're successful for everything, and we just want to do a range, it's going to be from here to here, and you can set that as well. So there's a lot of these different pieces that have been missing, even in the instant estimator space, that we have kind of tied up in a nice little bow and presented everybody for Christmas.
No, I like that because it's a quote, it's an estimate. So having that range and keeping it open a little bit and in the fine print stating that this is only an estimate, this is only a quote, but getting back to how many questions that the homeowner actually has to ask. I think it's smart that they do have to ask some questions because that's going to alleviate the tire kickers. I think it's going to kind of weed them out. So if they're willing to stay on your website for a certain amount of time, ask a certain amount of questions that aren't too annoying, right? Obviously their name, their address, and certain things like that. So what other questions did you maybe remove or add?
Yeah, we're actually I'm gonna kind of push you the other way.
Okay.
Because you don't want to ask them a bunch of questions, because every question that you ask them and they have to do another input comes with a bounce rate. That's
okay.
That's
see, and I would
experience.
know that.
Yeah,
I would know that. Cool.
Yep. So every time you ask them for an input, they're either not trusting your technology. You're like, well, if you told me you were going to give me an estimate, now I have to tell you how big my house is. That immediately they lost trust and they probably bounced off.
Yes.
What? Wait a second. You told me you're going to give me an estimate, but you don't even know anything about my house. You don't know the pitch of the roof. Like I'm supposed to know the pitch of the roof because you asked me if it's medium, low, or steep pitch. Like I don't know what medium's low. So instead of asking the homeowner all these questions about their roof, we're just saying, no, we know it. We know what it is. And contractor has already put accurate pricing. So the contractor doesn't have to come in and go, well, I mean, my price was for a low, but it's actually steep. Like we're trying to eliminate the bad experiences by fronting you with all the information that you need to make an accurate estimate.
Love that. Okay. Makes total sense to me.
The questions, it helps people, kind of go down that rabbit hole, look at your reviews, projects you've done, stuff like that. Which I really like. I mean, they get, a ballpark, they get that quote, they feel comfortable. They're looking at products, warranties, their financing, and then, can look at other things on your website. And I think that's huge. I've talked to a lot of contractors that use it, and that's one thing that they really appreciate. I did a testimonial earlier, and she said her sales reps always say it's a warm lead because they, bought on the company that before they get out there, which is huge.
Yeah. No, and that is a big deal. I mean, at that point in time, it's up to the salesperson if they get the job because you're already 50% closed because of your technology is what I think. My opinion on that. But so what else? What other new technologies? What other moves? Whatever What else?
Yeah. So
What's your next big thing? I saw a little sparkle in your eye that I know you want to tell me something.
well, it was so the thing there, it was so soon after our Christmas release. We literally like a week later had another big release because we added the ability for the contractor to have a view this roof on your house option. So
Really?
now they're getting all that info. The homeowner again is seeing all the information, and now they can push one button and it's going to send them to a site where they can actually see the products that they were looking at,
Wow.
on a house. And so, but again, I didn't even release that just because like, man, we got to slow down a little
Yeah.
bit. Like we haven't even stopped talking about our last stuff, and now we're already talking about new stuff. So it's moving so fast.
Man,
And,
that's great. That's
yeah.
great because I know that's very difficult to do in the tech space. So that's amazing that you guys are coming so far so quickly. But you have to. I don't want to even say you almost have to, but you have to because of how quickly I'm going to say it again, our industry is evolving into, and you almost got to get out in front of this before somebody else comes up with the next Roof Quote Pro. But you guys already have the bells and whistles.
Yeah, that's when I first took the job here, and it was one of the things I asked our CEO. I said, "So who's our competitors? How do we stack up against them?" And he's like, "We don't really have one. I mean, we kind of have one, but it said I kind of would like to have more because again, the proof of concept is what's kind of driving this as well. When some people look at our technology and what's happening and how important it is to the industry, we went from 1 to probably 4 competitors last year. I know we've got 3-4 more this year, and our team was just talking about that this morning. We have to anticipate more and more. But part of the fun stuff is that we're so far ahead.
Yeah.
We're like, good luck catching up. Like most of them have not even figured out how to do more than one structure on a property, and we did that a year ago.
Yeah.
And nobody else is detecting pitch. We did that 6 months ago. Nobody's doing complexity. We did that a month ago. So like, they're so far behind. But having competitors kind of makes it almost easier because everybody now is looking at it and going, okay, this is a real thing, and we need to get involved with it. So it actually helps us more than it hurts us.
Yeah, no doubt. Plus, too, what I'm going to ask you this, and you can hopefully answer it. Have you learned anything from your competition? Like, was there something that somebody was doing that you thought, oh wow, and you don't have to mention who, but maybe give me a little something.
I mean, honestly, no.
And again, I guess if there's one thing we kind of looked at, we're a tech company, but as people are adopting it, how do we help them? How do we best help them be successful so that they stick with it and are successful doing it? So we've looked at a couple of things that, how we can better communicate to the industry. But I'm telling you, we spend very, very, very little time looking at our competitors.
Yeah.
Like almost no time,
No doubt.
because we're kind of being the trailblazers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good
Yeah.
place to be in. That and in competition, we all know, as much as we don't probably want to admit it or have noticed it, but competition is good. And what I mean by that is, and I'm going to use hover as an example because I can't think of anyone else that does hover, like
Right.
a hover, right?
Yeah.
Well, hover, in my opinion, it's great, but if you really use it and you're a contractor and somewhat intelligent, right? And you're going through it and it's like a homeowner asks you, well, can you make it? We want a deck. We want to know what the deck looks like. Shit. We just went through all this time, energy. We changed the color of the windows. We actually added, I don't even know if you can add grids, but the one thing, and this was my personal experience is the homeowner wanted to see what their house looked like with shutters. I couldn't add shutters in hover. And why hover? One, it's very unique. It's a great tool, but what goes through a person's mind, whether it's an engineer, CEO, it's like, well, it's okay. It's good enough for now. And the reason why you think like that is because you don't have any competition. So if they had a competitor, if somebody would come out with another type of 3-dimensional way for us to draw somebody's house or project, there would be a sense of urgency there. Like, oh shit, we need to get that, add a shutter function. We need to be able to add grids. We need to be able to build a deck and all of these things. But for now, it's okay for now. We don't need to be pushed because nobody's pushing us to make it great. So it's good, but it's not great.
So let me tip that one a little bit on its ear
Do
too,
it, yeah.
because, and this is complete. I have no knowledge of Hover. Like I haven't talked to anybody there for
Me,
many
I
years.
haven't used it either, probably for 3 years. So everything I just said was probably false. But
Right. So,
I'm just using that as an example.
but let's look at the concept though, because what do you think they are actually thinking about right now? We really don't know if they've come in. So here's again, my whole thing with technology is those things that relieve friction or create efficiencies. That's where you get technology. And to me, what's the hardest part of using and implementing hover technology is somebody has to be
Physically
on the
go out there.
property physically taking 6 pictures, which a decade ago, that was revolutionary. That's all I have to do is walk around the property. What if Hover's in the background going, hey, we figured out how to get wall measurements without a phone. Tell me how that disruptive would be. And again, you're asking for shutters on the visualizer tool, and they're like, I get it, but we're kind of working on this thing.
Yes.
And it's so we just don't know. And that's why I say that we're in an evolution right now within the industry, and with these unlimited pockets and the private equity. I mean, all of this stuff is starting to make sense where these technologies are going to be coming out. So one of my favorite quotes I've ever come across, it said, there was a guy that came out and he said, talent is being able to hit targets no one else can hit. Genius is being able to hit targets no one else can see. There are people out there right now that are creating these technologies we can't even see. And that's where it actually energizes me every morning, waking up and going, what can't I see? What am I missing? Because there are technologies that are going to be coming in that are going to disrupt this industry. We have no idea right now. And they're going to come fast and furious, I believe.
I love that.
That's kind of that's my hover story, I guess. Why you're not getting shutters on your I have no
Because
idea
they
if
got
it's true
bigger
or
fish to fry. Because when you were saying that, I thought, well, how far behind the curve are they? And I guess I don't know that question, because again, I'm not in the field using these tools anymore, which shame on me, but I'm glad I'm not either. But I remember I was with a homeowner. It was a friend of mine, a big real estate investor. So I handled this, tried to handle her with white gloves. And she's like, well, she's got stucco in the front of her house. There was an issue there. I had to call them up like, hey, because they wouldn't replace the stucco for me. It was just all these things. It was like, I was trying to paint her a visual so she would know what her house looked like when so she could choose what color, what windows, all this thing. It was not a nightmare, but a deck. This was a true story. And I couldn't add shutters. We couldn't put a deck. I couldn't cover the stucco up. It was like all these things that we jumped through. But anyhow.
So I'm just a roofer. And so in that situation, I would have just gone to Kmart, got some paper and the 64 box of Crayolas.
Right. Old school it.
Just paint it up for it looks like this.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pretty much what we did. Literally, I copied and pasted.
Like a serial killer.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, right.
There you go.
We did it. We pulled it off. We got through with it. But I was just thinking, the technology, I guess I was hoping to be able to leverage it. Back then. But anyhow, it's always great to have you guys. And again, I love you guys. I love Roofle. Vic and I had a small conversation this morning. It's like, we are the sum of those that we surround ourselves with. And I'm grateful each show that we do that you guys are here, because you're who I want to surround myself with. You, Travis, Eric O, and there's a handful of us. And I think you know who and why I enjoy you guys so much, just because of how real you are, authentic. And you're the people that I want to be around.
It's very much appreciated, and same here. We just absolutely adore the guys that we get to sit around with, tell stories with, and be better people around.
100%. We are definitely better because of you guys, and always enjoy your company, our dinners, our laughter, our grab assery that we cut it up and we have a good time in. So thank you guys always for participating in the fun. Thank you for educating us. Thank you for being trailblazers in our industry, and thank you for everyone for watching. What is it? Episode 1 through 212. Episode 212 of Behind the ToolBelt, and we will see you guys, I'm sure, at some point again today. So have a good one.
Thank you.
Signing out.
Appreciate it.
Yep.